and welcome to the Health Essentials Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about walking, but not your basic 1 foot ahead of the other type of stroll. No. We're going to look at how you can kick walking up a few notches on the physical fitness meter by adding what amounts to fancy sticks. I'm John Horton, your host and wingman as we wander into the world of Nordic walking. Our guide on this expedition is exercise specialist Ben Kuharik, one of the many experts at Cleveland Clinic, who stops by our weekly podcast to offer tips to help you live a little healthier. So put on your walking shoes, double knot those laces, and let's get started on this journey with Ben. Ben, great to have you back on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely excited to be here, John.
Let's jump right into Nordic walking. What is it?
So Nordic walking is just a type of exercise that is just growing in popularity, and you're using poles to help propel yourself forward.
They look like cross-country ski poles, right?
Essentially, and diving a little bit into the history of it, it was just basically a way in the off season when you couldn't utilize snow to kind of train and keep up your endurance for cross-country skiing. And now it's becoming a little thing in and of itself that people are starting to use.
Is it better than just regular walking? I mean,
it's just something different. It uses a little bit more of your upper body in walking and kind of gets blood flowing there. It takes a little bit of the impact away from the lower body, but it does transfer a little bit more into the upper body. So some people can find a lot of benefit from that. Some people with like shoulder injuries, things like that, might want to avoid it.
One of the big benefits of Nordic walking is just there's an increased calorie burn, right?
Anywhere between 18 to 67% more calories being burned, which is a pretty big number. And
that's a huge number.
Absolutely. When you're utilizing muscles, your heart has to pump it to the targeting area. In which case, when you're walking, it's almost entirely lower body. There's a little bit of upper body movement, but not a ton. But now your heart has to pump blood to lower extremities and upper extremities. So for it to go both directions like that, you're just burning a lot more calories to sustain the pace.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Nordic walking is basically it's what amounts to a full body workout.
Yeah, it's getting shoulders and back involved, especially a little bit of your arms and triceps, things like that. So it can help tone those a little bit on top of the burning calories. And also you can keep a higher pace than just normal walking. So this is a way that's awesome because you're going to be walking a little bit faster, and because it's less stress on your joints, you're able to do it for a longer period of time without accumulating as much fatigue.
By adding in those poles and having those extra elements that are kind of stabilizing yourself, it takes just a little bit of stress off of those joints.
Every step is accumulating just a little repeated stress in the same spot over and over and over. So if you can even take 10, 20% of that stress from your knees and just get it away from that, then it goes a long way.
Let's talk too about balance. You get a little older, you start worrying a little more about maybe falling or whatever. That's kind of one of those things that can help keep you a little more stable when you're out.
Yeah, it helps with stability big time, but also it helps with your posture because we have that forward leaning posture or the forward head posture. And when you're utilizing the poles, it kind of forces you into a more upright position, and poor posture often leads to losing balance, things like that. So on top of just having better balance while you're using it, it can create a habit to have just more balance when you're not using it as well.
All right. So to summarize here, we're looking at Nordic walking. You can have a bigger calorie burn, less stress on your joints. You can go faster, you can go farther, better balance, and it's going to help your posture. I mean, that's a lot of good stuff.
Oh yeah. I think everyone should at least give it a try, see if you like it. It's relatively, you can get pretty inexpensive, so you can just usually find them anywhere. Amazon, some Walmarts have them.
This isn't something where you can just go out into the woods and find two sturdy sticks, right? You need a very specific piece of equipment to do this.
It's designed specifically to help propel you forward. The angle and the tips help with a forward motion. And they're also extremely light because over time you're picking it up like a couple hundred times. So if you try to do it with something like a stick, your shoulder is going to get tired very quickly. There are really expensive pairs for people who are avid with it, but you can find pretty cheap ones as well.
All right. Now, you had mentioned the tips. I know when I was bopping around looking at things, it seems like there are some tips that kind of have a little pointy bottom that would be good if you were like on a trail or, kind of a soft surface. And then there's some that also have kind of rubber tips if you're on like a paved surface.
Yeah, they utilize different attachments like that. You can just get one stick and get a couple different tips. There are some that generally you can use for whatever terrain. So if you're just trying it out, that's what I would go. I wouldn't get too technical with all the nuances with it. But yeah, they have a couple things that are interchangeable like that.
When you buy these poles, they have a wrist strap, and that's like real essential to the overall process, right?
Yes, because, if you're walking for like an hour at a time, you don't want to have your hand constantly clamping down. And that's one big thing with bike riding that kind of gets me and starts to bug my wrist, because you're constantly gripping as hard as you can and you're fatiguing all those muscles. So with the wrist strap, as you're propelling forward, you kind of grab it and push it into the ground. And then as you step, you'll let go. So you're not going to overwork all the small muscles in your hand that can't take too much fatigue.
Okay. All right. Well, now it sounds like we're getting a little bit into the form, which is actually where we were going to go next. So
you're not going to have to relearn walking. You could usually pick it up. You can pick it up relatively quickly, easier than riding a bike, I would say. And there's two main ways of doing it. There's reciprocal, which that's just opposite arm and leg, which is how we naturally walk already. Now, there is another way that's a little bit more advanced, and it's just like a little way to change it up, where you use the double pole, and you would do it like every time your left leg comes forward, you propel with both. And then you could do it every third step. So you'll go left, step, step, right, step, step. But just starting out, I would say you just stick with the reciprocal movement, opposite arm and leg, to help propel yourself.
Okay. All right. And one of the key things here, with the videos I've watched and the kind of the tutorials, it seems like you're supposed to use just a normal arm swing. I think when people think about having like a hiking pole, you're kind of putting that pole out ahead of you and sticking your arms out. That is not Nordic walking, correct?
Correct. You want just like your natural gait. You don't want to like push it, and you're not using your arms to just totally take the brunt of everything. It should just be natural movement. It's to assist your legs. It's not to take over. There's
a lot of, there are tutorials online like crazy. I know there's a 10-step technique developed by I think it's the International Nordic Walking Federation, although they go by INWA because I think they were an association before. It sounds like that's one of the big groups as far as getting tips and kind of learning how to do this.
Yeah, so with their 10-step program, you have to learn from a certified Nordic walking coach, and you can find that actually on a website, ANWA. That's the American Nordic Walking Association. You can just go to their website and look it up, and they actually, everyone who's certified, it'll show kind of where they hold their practice, so you can find something near you. The 10-step process is not actually like just posted somewhere that you can utilize it. However, you can just simply go to YouTube, look up a tutorial on it, and there's plenty of straightforward ones that you could just get started.
All right. Fabulous. That's something to go look for. So anything else that we missed?
I recommend everyone at least tries it. You don't have a lot to lose and you got a lot to gain.
Ben, hey, thanks as always for coming on to the show. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it. Turning a daily walk into a Nordic walk can give you a full body, calorie burning workout. Plus, I'm guessing that those walking poles can be a great conversation starter when you meet somebody out on the trail. Till next time, be well.